With a return teased and a jump from one company to another hinted at, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. On Out of Character, Bianca Belair recalled her match against the returning Becky Lynch from SummerSlam 2021, where Becky got a quick win over her for the SmackDown Women's title, saying, "I feel like it all worked out. A lot of that had to do with Becky Lynch too. She is someone who fights for women's wrestling, but she also fights for others in the locker room. She had a whole lot to do with bringing it full circle and making it work out the way that it did, and I've learned so much from her. In hindsight, looking back, that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, right? You can't be Superwoman all the time. You gotta overcome some odds, and I was able to do that." Speaking about his shower segment in WWE where Cash Wheeler was shaving his back, Dax Harwood revealed on his FTR podcast, "When that was presented to us, obviously it's supposed to be embarrassing for us, and I'm thinking like, this is childish. It's not even funny. What is supposed to be embarrassing about someone shaving my back? Is it supposed to be embarrassing because Vince thinks it's effeminate? Is that him subjecting a certain group of humanity as an embarrassment to humanity?" I started thinking, what is the embarrassment? Because I'm not embarrassed. Dan and I are probably the only two wrestlers in the world right now who have complete body hair everywhere. We're the ones who don't shave. It was hilarious. We thought it was funny. I knew going into it I was gonna make the absolute most that I could out of it. I wanted to oversell it and I wanted to show him like, hey dude, we're more than what you think. Even if you're going to try to embarrass us until we leave, we're going to have fun doing it. The last thing we did on stage was I did this forward roll and then I barrel rolled all the way through the curtain to the back, and when we got to the back and stood up, we got a standing ovation from everybody. Vince included, and Paul Heyman, who I don't trust anymore than I trust my dog to read the Bible when I go upstairs. He came up to us and he gave us this hug and he said, "You always thought you were gonna get over by being a great wrestler, huh? Now you're over with the man." And he pointed to Vince. To be fair, that's a lot of The Office. Whenever you're high on Vince's list, everybody is your best friend. Everybody loves you. Everybody thinks you're the greatest thing in the world. When Vince doesn't care about you, that's when they forget about you, and that's when they don't have time for you. On that same show, Dax Harwood mentioned how he and Cash did not get along with the Gunns backstage in AEW. They are guys who study the craft and try to be better. There are also a couple of guys who made it to the top because of who their father is. They never had to be in the trenches, or they've never had to travel to these little shows to make a buck or get seen. All they know is AEW or national television wrestling. With that, they may not think it, and they may not be doing it on purpose, but with that, they think that everything should be catered to them. Personally, we have different thoughts and ideologies, and that's okay. You're not going to get along with everyone. I will say, there aren't too many acts in wrestling that people absolutely despise. They despise these guys. They get the ass boys chants. When they won the tag belts, the people were mad. When you think about what wrestling is, you want people to be mad or to feel a certain way. They felt a certain way about that title change. Who knows what's going to happen in the future or where the story is going. There has been a story to this. This is a year-long story that I wish people would stop and think, oh, you're right, there is a backstory and a long history. It's another chapter in the story. Congratulations to them, their first ever tag team championships. I look forward to seeing what the Ass Boys and Acclaimed do next. Remembering The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak being broken by Brock Lesnar, Matt Hardy noted on his Extreme Life podcast, "I think Brock is the guy that should have beat him. On top of Brock being such a legitimate badass by beating him, they got so much greatness out of Brock over the next 10 years or so. So yeah, I think it was a good call." Explaining the only bummer that came with his Royal Rumble return and win, Cody Rhodes told the New York Post, "So if you've ever had your eardrum popped, it's a ringing sound. It's unmistakable. There's air blowing out of it. I was just tickled by it, hilariously, that it happened because I'm finally back, came back 2 months early. The last thing we need to do is get hurt because you don't want to be on that medical list. Anyways, I was able to get through it just fine, just a tiny little perforation. The funny thing was, on a night that you're surrounded by 60,000 people in the Alamo Dome, excited, you'd like to hear them, and I could only hear half of them. That was a little bit of a worrisome moment. I could feel them, if that makes any sense, but you'd like to hear them more. That was a night that was a bummer not to fully hear it. Sticking with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes had said that WWE doesn't need The Rock, telling Daily Mail, "With all the respect in the world to one of the GOATs, The Rock, it looks like the options we have here within the roster are even better because of the stories that are happening." Rhodes would then clarify that comment, telling Sports Illustrated, "I said the other day, and I said it in a pretty nice way, all respect to The Rock, I like what we have. I'm going to walk that one back. WrestleMania is amazing. If Rock decides to come to WrestleMania, please, simply because we're able to have WrestleMania because of someone like The Rock, and Rock was able to have WrestleMania because of somebody like Hulk Hogan, and because of the Dustys and Flairs, the Pipers. Our industry doesn't just exist. The content is so important in keeping it healthy and keeping it going and respecting these longtime fans. I hope I didn't talk out of turn because I absolutely adore The Rock and would love it if he was present in any setting. His family is massively important to what we do, and if Rock decides to show up to WrestleMania, Hollywood would love that. I will say, if Rock doesn't come to WrestleMania, we have an unbelievable card, if not the best ever, and the biggest ever in terms of the financials, the gates, 2 days in Hollywood. It's a win-win. Touching on his gear for WrestleMania 39, Cody Rhodes told Peter Rosenberg on Hot 97, "Small spoiler, I guess. I was trying to come up with this idea for a weight belt for a very specific PLE or pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it, where I wrote everybody independent promotion. I worked on it because that was the most important thing I did, was this connection with these fans and getting to know them and grassroots, and that became really my bread and butter." With him calling out Takeshita's tribute to Eddie Guerrero on AEW Dynamite, former WCW star Konnan has now taken to Twitter to write, "The Takeshita thing was a joke. Like, I'm really gonna get mad over him doing a frog splash. Everyone does it. If you actually believe I was hot, joke's on you." Responding to the segment between Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn on Raw, Roman Reigns posted this video on Twitter.
"If you gotta have a pep rally to convince each other that you can beat me, you don't stand a chance. I'll see you in Montreal."
With there being a backstage brawl between CM Punk and the Elite after the All Out event from September, it seems those involved have not made up, as it was noted on Wrestling Observer Radio. A lot of damage done, there's a lot of mending offenses that needs to be done, and there's been no mending offenses at all. It's a big situation, because Punk could be back in 2 months, then there's a decision. That's going to be a big story, how that goes down, or doesn't go down. As his father and promoter Jerry Jarrett passed away, Jeff Jarrett took to Twitter to pay tribute, as he wrote, "When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and debts are high, and you want to smile but have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest, if you must, but don't you quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure turns about when he might have won if he'd stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow. You might succeed with another blow. Often the struggler has given up when he might captured the victory's cup, and he learned too late, when the night slipped down, how close he was to the golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of clouds of doubt, and you never can tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems afar, so stick to the fight when your hardest hit. It's when things seem worst that you mustn't quit." with him going on social media to send a message to his current girlfriend, Matt Riddle, who has been absent from WWE, seemed to tease a comeback, writing, "Happy Valentine's Day to everyone and especially my girl Misha. I love you, and I'll see you all very soon." Coming up short in a loser leaves Japan bout, Jay White seemed to hint at leaving New Japan on Twitter. It was previously reported that White is looking to move back to the US, with both WWE and AEW reportedly having interest in the star. Speaking of stars that have left New Japan, Kota Ibushi is now a free agent and looking at his options. According to Dark Puroresu Flosion, it was said that just spoke with Kota Ibushi. He has high interest in AEW, but said he would not rule out WWE currently. Of course, I'm interested in it. I'm good at producing players and I've created stars, so I don't think there's anyone who can control me even in that frame. I live so freely. While the Young Bucks are in negotiations to sign new contracts with AEW according to Fightful, it seems two of the executive VPs could be heading to WWE. They went on Twitter to seemingly tease a jump to the other company, writing, "Less than a year left. Where does the time go? It was all a dream." The latter phrase is a reference from their Being the Elite series, where Matt Jackson has a nightmare about doing extra work for WWE in 2008. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.